Yo, it's me. It's the SCOTT. You know, light in here. A little bit. And now we're back with the Hellraiser franchise. And we are looking at Hellraiser Deader. I complained in the first film. I complained in the last two reviews, Hellraiser reviews, about Inferno and Hellseeker using psychological horror to add the Hellraiser stuff in, and how it didn't work in either one of those films. With Hellraiser being more confusing with Inferno being more confusing with that added in, and with Hellseeker just being a bunch of fake outs from almost the entire movie. This one, I think, they kind of stopped to think, because it's the same director as Hellseeker, Rick Boda. And this came out in 2005. And this stars Kari Vur, I think is how you pronounce her name. She's been in like Sliders and other things, but... And I think that's what adds to this film being the better of the three I've reviewed, three of the three spec script ones, is because I think they actually just did what they said they were gonna do. It's a movie script. They shoved Hellraiser into it, and that's what it really feels like. There's some psychological horror, but they don't use that to insert the Hellraiser stuff. They just have it there. What am I talking about? Here's for instance for you. There's a scene where Amy Klein, our main character played by Kari Vur, is she's trying to find this missing person. She goes to her last known location, hotel room, apartment, whatever, and she sees she's laying there. She had committed suicide. She hung herself laying there. And if you think about the original scene before the Hellraiser stuff was added in, it probably would have read, Amy Klein walks in, sees whatever her name is, dead, is horrified, and goes to leave, but sees an envelope that could contain information, on her case, and grabs for it. Someone could have seen that and said, hey, why don't we have the dead girl holding the configuration? That works for Hellraiser, right? And then just have Amy grab it on her way out and then do a jump scare quick. Works better than having psychological horror, don't you think? I think that works better than just using psychological horror to put it in there. The story is that Amy Klein is she's a reporter, and she's given a case, or an assignment by her boss, Charles, to go to Bucharest to hunt down this cult called the Deaders, led by a man named Winter. And this leads you to the configuration, and yeah. So the one thing that popped out to me about this that differs from the first two, the psychological horror standpoint, is that she opens the box, right? The chains come out, grab her head, horrible CGI chains come out and grab her head, right? But then nothing happens for the rest of the film. In fact, Pinhead's mission here isn't even to go after Amy because she opened the box. He wants Winter. That's his end game. And that's why it feels like they just took the script and just occasionally added Hellraiser stuff here. Just spruce it up a little bit, make it more Hellraiser. And instead of trying to rewrite stuff and use psychological horror to put it in, like it's in their head, or it's a metaphor, he's been in hell the whole time. This one actually just puts the Hellraiser stuff in there, just casually. She's holding the box. The chains come out. They try to connect it back to the past by saying that Winter is a descendant of Philippe Le Marchand himself, which makes no sense, because as far as we know, he only had one descendant, John Merchant. Could John Merchant have had a brother? Sure. You could say, it's the kid from Bloodline, but that wouldn't work because in 2005, that kid would have been 18. This guy's in his 30s. And they have 30-year-olds playing 18-year-olds. Yeah, but this guy's clearly in his 30s. And this cult are called Deaders because they kill themselves, and then Winter does some weird kissy face thing and brings them back to life. But there's a side effect, I don't know. The only really psychological horror thing that happens is when this sort of happens to Amy, and then she wakes up with a knife in her back, and she's trying to get it out, and she goes through this whole sequence in the film to only wake up back at Winter's little hideout to show that everything that happened from that point on was just in her head. And I think it works better than just showing random stuff and fake outs, and it works a lot better from the standpoint. And I think maybe Rick Boda knew it this time that maybe Hellseeker didn't work as well with that in there, so he made it a little more toned down on that kind of aspect, and it works. The one thing that confuses me, though, is the character of Charles. Is he in on this from the beginning? Because he gives her the assignment and keeps showing up when she gets thrown in jail, I think. She ends up in a mental hospital, and Charles is always there. And then at the end of the film, we see Charles showing another videotape to a different person that's working for him. So, is he set up to kill people for... I don't know. But I gotta hand it to the performance of Kari Wuhrer. She does a great job in this film. Going in... So when I first watched all these movies, when I got the DVDs and I watched them all back to back, I did my own off-screen ranking, because this was before I had YouTube. And I had Deader as the second to last, with Inferno, of course, being at the bottom, and Deader, then Revelations, because I know that Revelations is the worst of the Hellraiser movies, but it's all about personal experience. Inferno gave me a fucking massive headache, so that went down, and to me, Deader never really connected with me the first time I watched it. This time, though, I think maybe because I've been complaining about how the psychological horror doesn't work when you try to use that to shove the Hellraiser stuff in. So this one, the fact that they just kind of put Hellraiser stuff throughout the film and didn't try to force it in like the other two films, works better. And also the acting is better. Like that I said, the things that I'm negative about are the whole Winter being related to Le Marchand. And he was after the box, but he doesn't want the box. Pinhead shows up, kills him, and Amy could be dead. She keeps seeing the dead woman, the one she took the box from. She's seeing her around. And there's a scene where she goes on this subway train where there's a bunch of naked women. There's this guy she's talking to, and then later she goes to do it, and they're all dead. It's really weird. That's the psychological horror stuff. But that's during the point where she wakes up with the knife in her back and stuff. That's all psychological horror stuff. They relegate the psychological horror to one little section of the film and don't throw it throughout the film. And I think that works better than just randomly shoving it in there for fake outs or having Joseph Thorne constantly seeing stuff. It works better. And I gotta give that to the film. But it is just another one of those Hellraiser films where Hellraiser was just shoved in there. And that's gonna put it down a mark for me. Because I think, well, you could say about these Hellraiser movies that Hellraiser wasn't, that Pinhead himself wasn't prominent in the movies. And yeah, you're right. Like, the first film was mostly about Frank, the second one about Christy and Julia, the third about Joey and her investigation, and the fourth about the Le Marchand family line, with Pinhead being a secondary character. Yes, but then when Pinhead, I think the film that he's in the most is Bloodline, because they wanted him in the film the most. They want, like, the original script for Bloodline had him in at like the halfway mark, but the studio wanted him in right away. So they have a flash of him, and then they have that sequence just by everything's out of order. But yeah, and here he's throughout the film, but it's still sparse, and I think that works for the franchise. To be honest, the Pinhead himself doesn't have to be a main focus as long as you show that this is in the Hellraiser world. Like, I'll go once I get to the reviews, but Judgment, Hell World, even Revelations do that right. Well, especially Hell World, and I know people shit on Hell World, but that's a movie where Hellraiser is an RPG game. I think it's like OMMRPG, I think, for the computer. And they have a mansion that just has a bunch of, like, it's a Hellraiser mansion, basically. And yeah, you got Hellraiser throughout of it. It's not exactly Hellraiser in the way that it's perceived, but I think that at least they tried to show that Hellraiser in it, where these ones, they showed it just, hey, Pinhead's here. I think that out of the 3 spec script ones, this one is the best, because they decided to do what they were supposed to do the whole time, and just take the script and insert Hellraiser. Not rewrite it so that we can make it psychological horror, and show that it's in the head of our protagonist, if you want to call him that. Also, I found the protagonist of this film, Amy Klein, way more likable than the other two. She's not an asshole cop or detective or a guy who tried to kill his wife. We're actually following a person we can sympathize with. And yes, they sort of shoe in a backstory where she was abused by her father. That's, more sympathy. But I think you can sympathize with it because she's just an innocent reporter looking for a story. And what she gets is horrible. And you can say, oh, Charles set her up, which is probably true, but overall, I think that this movie is better in terms of the 3 spec script ones, because, yeah, you have a likable character, the Hellraiser stuff works better, characters are better, the acting is better, even the cinematography, and it's Rick Boda, he directed the other one, so, he directed Hellseeker, so this is a lot better. The cinematography is better than Hellseeker, because Hellseeker was this weird, it looked, Hellseeker looked direct-to-video. This one has a sort of theatrical look to it. It's a little bit better looking. I think maybe Rick Boda took Hellseeker as a project to work on, and then it's like, oh, I get a second Hellraiser movie. I'm gonna put some effort into this. I'm gonna try to work it better, and I think he did it better in this one. So, guys, I'm gonna give Hellraiser Deader a 7. I don't mind this one, actually. And I was actually dreading watching this one. But yeah, it's a 7. It's not bad, actually. So what are you guys' thoughts on Hellraiser Deader? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. I've been Scotty. See you in the next one.